Oh,
So
okay.
it's like a decoy that you put on in front of your bow. Like you're drawing
Right.
back your bow. We got something here.
It's like
What
a
do you got?
pocket
What
pussy,
is
but with like a
this?
weapon in it.
Elk
Oh,
Booner
that's
decoy.
her.
What is this?
Ooh.
That is
That's
weird.
what popped up when I typed in elk
It's
decoy.
a new product. What does it say? Adjustable fit ball cap. So what is that?
It's like an elk mask.
It's an
almost.
elk. That's a good way to get shot by a dude.
Oh, it's a good
Put
way
one of
to get
those on and wander
fucked,
off.
too.
Oh, so that is what it is. It's like an elk head. You know who has one of those? John Dudley has something like that. He's got like ears he wears. You're tricking him
You
to
look like
think
a
that it's a girl.
Snapchat filter. That's what you look like.
I don't think their vision is very good.
Oh, I see.
I think their vision is
Have you ever watched any of them have sex, or they don't?
yeah. I saw one of them. I saw a male elk fuck a female elk. It was crazy.
Really? Is it pretty
Dude,
cool, or is it? Did
He
you feel?
smashed it. He smashed it so
wow.
hard she went flying forward when she got tackled and went down to her front knees.
Damn.
He just climbed on top and he's a one pump chump. Boom! He just slammed into it.
Could you tell he felt good after, or he seemed like
It's hard
whatever?
to tell. He was screaming. When they're fucking and when they're in heat and they're
Yeah.
breeding, in the rut they call it, it's amazing to watch. I mean, this is something they only do once a year. So for 11 months out of the year, they're cool with each other. They're all just hanging out together. And 1 month out of the year, it's chaos, just fighting to the death with other males,
Yeah.
smashing into it. And then every girl they get a chance, fucking, they bang it out. And then when it's over, it's over. And then there's a cycle of life. And then in the spring, the new calves are born. And then, they grow up, and then a year later, they're hanging around in the pack, and then they get older. As they get older, they challenge the old bull for dominance,
That's
and then
marvelous.
he chases them away. And yeah, it's a fascinating sort of ecosystem when you watch. And then, there's always wolves, and there's always bears, and there's all these things that are trying to eat them, and mountain lions are killing them. It's amazing.
That's wild, man. It's wild. That's good. That's neat that you're so in tune with all of that stuff, man, and that you're into those worlds. That sounds like a lot of fun,
Well, it's really interesting. Even if I never, ever hunted again, I would still be fascinated by wildlife.
Yeah.
It is just, it's one of the more interesting things about being alive. Is that there's these other things that are alive too, and they're nothing like us.
Yeah.
They are nothing like us.
We're
And
the
they're just-
outliers,
yeah.
really.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But we're the ones who are separated from them so completely that if we see one, it's like a bird that's sitting on a flagpole,
Yeah.
or it's it's a fucking coyote in your neighborhood. Whoa, what's he doing here? Or a dog, which is like our friend. Dog. I don't even count them as animals. I know they're animals, but they're our friends. It's like when you have dogs, they're dependent upon us for food.
Yeah.
They're part of the family. It's a totally different deal than like a pet wolf or a pet bear or
Oh,
some shit.
There's an episode where somebody's dog plays Family Feud with them. You know what I'm saying? So that's yeah. What other animal's gonna do that?
I saw a dude online who he had trained his dog to get him a beer, and he put he tied a towel to the door of the refrigerator, and he'd say, "Go get me a beer." And the dog would go there. She would grab a hold of the towel, pull on it. It would open up the door to the fridge. She would reach in, grab a can of beer, run over, hand the can of beer to him. He'd say, "Good, now go close the door." And she would go close the door. She would go
Dang.
grab that towel and use it to shut that door. I was like, that is insane. That is a super trained animal, man.
Yeah, I never had a dog. I know we were talking last night at the comic store about your dog, and you guys always seem to be super happy, like when y'all go running and everything. You were talking about, it's cool.
Do you ever have any pets?
No, I never had any pets.
Never growing up?
They had like a lot
of
of
responsibility.
They had scary dogs. Like they had loose dogs in our neighborhoods, like Rottweilers, Doberman. So it was
Yeah.
like nobody had a pet. Like everybody had like there were two dogs that were like fuck.
Yeah.
You'd see them fucking and sometimes like attacking people. So it was kind of exciting, but it wasn't like. And then a lot of
Dangerous.
animals got hit by my house by this highway by trucks, and so we'd go bury the animals sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we'd go get the animal, and pull them right off this little highway and bury them. But yeah, I never had a pet, but I would like to have one if I can get a home one time, a home and like a wife and stuff. And I think I would like to have an animal,
They're fun, man, but you got to really know what you're getting into. If you go out of town, you're going to need somebody to watch it, feed it, and take care of it. You got to get that. You got to make sure you have a big enough yard where your dog can get some exercise.
Yeah.
and they're gonna shit all over the place. You're gonna have to learn how you pick that up. You're gonna have to pick that shit up.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you teach them to shit in like a hole or something?
Nope. Nope. They shit wherever they go outside. They just find a spot and say this is a good spot to shit, and they just drop logs. Yeah. And then you got logs all over your lawn.
Yeah.
And if you go 2 days without cleaning those logs, you got 8 logs. You gotta go out and pick
Damn,
up
bro.
logs. And I have 3 dogs. So I have mucho logos. 3 dogs makes mucho logs. A lot of logs. You gotta go around cleaning it up.
Dude.
And then if I don't clean it up, I'll have that fucking smell. I'll be out in the yard like, it's
Oh,
just
really?
dog shit smells. And then you gotta get the little scraper, and scrape the logs. And I have a place I dump them into.
Yeah.
It's nasty. Scooping up shit. Imagine if your grandma just shit all over your lawn. Just go out in the lawn and she shits in the yard, shits on the lawn. Like, oh, grandma's out there shitting. I gotta go clean up her shit.
Yeah.
I love her, but God, I hate cleaning her shit.
Yeah, I would hate cleaning up probably human shit for some reason. But I remember
More than dog shit?
well, when I was a kid, they had a boy in our neighborhood named Mario, right? And he was, dude, he ended up dying actually. He did some pills and drove into an embankment. But when I was young, he would shit in his yard, make me bury it. And that's how I was allowed to be friends with him.
How did he make you bury it?
He just asked me to do it, and I was afraid not to do it, I
He
think.
said, hey, yo, dude, you're not going to believe this, but I took a shit, and it's out my yard. I can't even bury it because I'll throw up. Hey, do me a favor and go bury it?
Yeah. He was dark, man. He had a real dark vision. And he would, I mean, he probably, honestly, dude, he probably shit 200, 300 times, and I buried it.
No.
I swear to God.
Come on.
I swear to God. I swear to God, dude. And he,
How'd you not run out of places to make new holes? Did you think you ever dug up old shit to put in new shit?
oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, man. We basically had like the only setup I had, and I didn't even have a strong system. The only setup I had was like one of those plastic, beach,
Oh, no.
like a beach setup. Dude, I'm
How'd you
talking,
get
I was
in there?
7.
So, wait a minute. This 7-year-old was doing this? How old was he?
He was 8 or 9.
Oh, he's tricking you by
Yeah.
being older.
He was older, and
2 years when you're 7 is a long stretch. You know, when you're 32,
Oh, yeah.
32, 34, that doesn't mean shit.
whatever, dude. You-
7 and 9, that's a big stretch.
yeah, you go shit at your house, buddy. That's what I tell people now. But-
So for what was do you remember the first? There's no way you really remember.
I remember
what
100%.
he said.
I don't remember what he said, but I remember.
How did it happen? How did it happen? Where you find yourself with a plastic shovel and another person's shit, going, "Damn, how did it come to this?"
Well, it came to it because I know my brother probably wasn't around, and I wanted somebody to play with, and he was older, so I was hanging out, and he was deviant, man.
How so?
He just had a little bit of like he was kind of slithering. You know what I'm talking about? From
He knew how to manipulate you.
yeah, he was
Obviously, you buried his shit 200 plus times.
like he had the same color in the outside of his eye and the inside of his eye. You know what I'm talking
Like
about?
a demon.
Yeah, like a light
El
demon.
Diablo.
Yeah, like a El Diablo, but also who was in elementary school.
Oh, interesting.
But he
So when you first found yourself, do you remember the feeling that you first found when you were digging a hole for a dude's shit? Like, just thinking, what am I? How long can I do this? What if he keeps asking? How do I stop this? How did you wind up stopping? That's maybe a better question.
You know what? I don't remember how it kind of, how
Petered
it kind
off?
of, yeah, petered off. I don't remember how it kind of tapered off. You know?
His parents ever like, hey, do you ever shit in the house? How come we don't have any missing toilet paper?
Well, dude, you know what? That's what I think it was. I think he was lazy. He was. I'm serious, and he sat outside behind his slide. They had a slide in his yard because they had, a little bit of money, and he sat outside behind the slide.
Shat is a great word too, by the way.
And it was silty, kind of soil and sand. And I remember going over there, and I still remember. I remember the shade of it, honestly.
What did it look like?
I would say like a taupe, but with a little more brown in it.
You can always find coyote shit because it has like little berries in it a lot of times. Coyotes eat all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they eat some berries sometimes. I'll see these logs with like these little red berries in it. And I'm like, oh, that's coyote shit. It's always a dark brown too. Their shit's super consistent. It's weird.
Gooses have fancy shit sometimes if you
Fancy.
see them.
You mean disgusting?
Yeah, I never liked it, but it seems.
Gross creatures.
Yeah.
I had a
Gooses
friend
are
who had,
violent. And that's a bait and switch by Mother Nature, because if you see a goose, you think, oh, this is fun. This can be exciting.
No, they're mean.
And then they'll fucking choke out an infant at a park. I mean, gooses are
yeah.
violent,
They're violent. Well,
extremely violent, and they fight in packs.
do they? They
Yeah.
attack in packs?
Yeah, they
Wow.
do.
I have a friend who
Sorry,
had a house on a lake, and they had a wire all around the lake.
Mhm.
And I was like, "What's the wire for?" They're like, "It's to keep the goose from going into the water. They don't want them waddling into the water." So they have, like, I was like, "Is that electric? Like, what kind of fence is that?" I'm not sure if it's electric. It might give them a little shock. But the idea was to try to keep because they shit all over their lawn. They shit
Oh, I
all over
see.
near where they had a pond in their yard.
Yeah, they're
Which
just like
is the ultimate.
they're
right?
like that kid Mario. They're just like that kid Mario, but a bird.
How ballin' are you when you have a pond in your yard? Like, you want to go fishing? Yeah, let's take 5 steps out of my backyard. You know, I mean, that's like the ultimate.
But I don't think I don't think if you have a natural hill in your yard, kind of, I don't think that's that expensive to get water put in
pond.
and to get a pump put in. I don't think it's that drastic.
Oh man, I would think that'd be a nightmare. But they got to make sure it doesn't leak. Like, you got to, like, what's going to keep the water there?
Yeah,
Like, it takes a special kind of bottom. Like, when you go to a natural lake, like, that water's pooled up there for a reason. Like, that's an unusual ground. You got to realize, if you're looking at a natural lake, unless it's a
Yeah.
glacial lake, the water's decided to stay there. Whereas the same amount of water has probably landed everywhere, but it's decided to stay there. So what the hell's different between that ground and all the other ground around it? So when you want to make a pond, you just can't make a pond everywhere. There's a reason why there's not a pond there, because that's not the kind of ground for a pond.
Right.
So they would have to put a liner in.
Oh, you got to tame mother. It's like taming Mother Nature almost.
Yeah, you have to do something. You can't just pour water in there. You got to do something. And one of the things that they do in a lot of places, they use this really thick koi pond liner. It's basically a plastic liner. So you got a bullshit ass fake pond is what you got.
That's gonna look shitty
You got
too.
a above ground pool.
Yeah.
You know,
It's-
basically the above ground pool of ponds.
It's not even organized, you know.
Well, once they get the liner in place, then they put surface levels of dirt and rocks and stuff over the liner, so it looks like a regular pond. But the thing is, what's holding the water in place in some places, they'll use those koi pond. You ever see? You know what a koi pond
Oh,
is?
yeah, yeah.
It's big, beautiful.
Like at a
fish.
restaurant.
Yeah, they have a very thick liner that they use for the base of that shit. They use that stuff on float tanks too.
I don't
Yeah, a
know if
lot
I know
of
what it is.
Flotation tanks, we float in them.
Oh no,
You
I
never
know you.
done that?
I've heard you talk about it
Yeah.
before.
Well, the liner of those things is the same thing. It's koi pond like a liner. It's like a real thick, durable, tough plastic.
Does it feel like you're alive when you're in the tank?
Yeah, it feels like you're relaxing. You know, it's a good feeling. It feels good on your body. It just alleviates tension, but it also feels like you're in this like meditative state. You relax and you think about things better there.
Mm.
You get a good thought of, you know, how to look at things from an outside looking in perspective. You know?
Yeah.
You get a chance to be away from your body, really, because you're not thinking about your body, you're just floating.
Oh, I like that.
You're not feeling your body at all. The water is the same temperature as your skin, so you can't even tell where the water is and where your body is.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I just feel like you're flying through the air, and it's all dark, and you don't see anything, you don't hear anything because your ears are underwater.
Does it feel dead? Do you feel like you
No.
might be dead or not?
No, definitely not.
I like that.
Are you worried
dude.
about the feeling of dead?
I'm just worried about how does does your brain keep going, you know, or whatever it is that keeps us going in our
When you die?
yeah, like does our consciousness does it just leave out of this shell and then we're just part of this straight up fucking
I think part of the thing is when we're thinking about consciousness, we're thinking about language. So we're thinking about the way we talk and think.
so you have to think
So-
about a feeling.
Yeah, because I think what we think of as consciousness, when I think of it, when my own limited mind, when I think of consciousness, I think of consciousness as me using language to interpret how I feel about different things. There's a language attached to it. I think if something happens when you die and your soul goes to another place, let's say a soul is a real thing or consciousness is a real thing, I bet it goes there with no language. And I bet it's real similar, I bet, to what it feels like when you're really tripping. I think
Yeah.
when you're on some heavy psychedelics and you just melt into the universe and you sort of cease to exist on some of them, like 5-MeO DMT.
You
just
ever been on
melt.
that?
Yeah.
Wow.
You melt into the center of the universe. You feel like you don't exist anymore. I bet death, and that feels like you're dying too. That's
Does it?
That's a scary one. 5-MeO DMT is like universally disturbing one. A lot of people have a problem with that one because it really does feel like you're dying.
Can senior citizens do it or not?
I think they can, yeah. I think the only problem would be if you had a heart attack, you freaked out. I don't think it's toxic because your body makes it. Your body knows what to do with it too. Your body knows how to bring you back down to sobriety levels in like 15, 20 minutes.
Do you know when you're going into those kind of, when you're on some of that, do you get a feeling that if you're a good or bad person, do you get like an like, I'm
well,
trying
you
to think
definitely
of,
get a feeling if there's things that are bothering you about your behavior. You know, if you have something that's haunting you, and maybe with a lot of people, it really comes down to life choices, not just in terms of like their behavior, but even like what they're doing for a living and how they're living their life. And sometimes those experiences, these psychedelic experiences, can highlight these things that are bothering you but that you're suppressing, and then you realize like, oh, this suppressing of these feelings and thoughts is actually making me lash out in these other ways. And I've got shitty behavior and I'm aggressive in this way
because of
and
this.
it's really because of this.
Wow.
It's really because of, and then you might also come to realization it's about something that happened when you were a child, or it's about feeling unprotected or unloved as a child, and it's just you never developed properly, so you never felt totally secure, so you want to do something to make you feel secure, whether it's drinking or something, and then you'll see that in a psychedelic experience, you'll be able to like see the root of it better.
Oh, wow.
For a lot of people, it's cessation of smoking comes from that feeling, like, oh, this is I'm killing myself because I hate myself, like I'm literally poisoning myself, like how can I not see this? And then through having a mushroom experience, they've just completely quit.
Really?
So yeah, it's a real common one. There's a lot of other stuff that I haven't done that also like ibogaine is a big one for getting people off drugs. It's a huge one.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that's a big one. That has an amazing success rate, but it's supposed to be really brutal as far as like how you feel, and like it runs you through the ringer psychologically. But when you get through it, it's worth it. But it's 24 hours.
Fuck, and who do you have to go with, by yourself?
There's a lot of clinics that do it, particularly in Mexico. A lot of people go down to Mexico and go to these clinics, and they're 24-hour clinics of this ibogaine experience.
JRE field trip.
But hey, man, if you had a son, and if you like, Joe, my son's hooked on oxys, I don't know what to do, I would 100% recommend you do that.
Really?
Yeah, because I know so many people that have done it, and it's helped them. And it rewires the way your brain connects to addiction. It's really fast. It's a fascinating drug. Hamilton Morris, who is the host of Vice's Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, it's essentially a show that's all just about drugs. He was talking about it last week about how fascinating it is. And in low doses, it actually is like a nootropic. It actually enhances your consciousness in low doses, makes you smarter.
Yeah, I want to get into some of that kind of stuff, but I mean, so right now I don't party or anything like that, so I struggle with that. It's like, man, because I don't, it's tough because I do want to be able to do things that are beneficial for myself and things that I didn't have a problem with, but it's hard to kind of balance.
Yeah, you want to stay sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sobriety is a worthwhile goal, and if you can go from being a person who's doing a lot of drugs and ruining their life to a person who's like yourself that's on a great path and you're sober and you're disciplined, you wouldn't want to break that. Like you don't want to have that bad feeling. But there's ways that you can achieve certain psychedelic states without any drugs.
Yeah.
One of the big ones is yoga and meditation. Those are two big ones.
Yeah.
I don't do the kind of yoga that gives you a psychedelic experience. I think mostly that's Kundalini yoga, but the kind of yoga that I do, that Bikram hot yoga shit, it's just this what it does to your body and chills you out afterwards. I think it has a pretty profound effect on the way the world, the way you experience the world after the classes. 'Cause I think that's something that people don't take into consideration. Like, one way in which you can change the world around you is to change how you interface with the world. Like, how do you experience the world? How are you viewing it? What's your behavior flavored by? Is your behavior motivated by frustration and weirdness and insecurity and anger, or is your behavior motivated by love and confidence and happiness? And are you quenched physically? Do you feel good physically?
Yeah.
And if you do, and if you've like experienced like a strong yoga class, and then you run into someone, you might be more relaxed, more compassionate, more easy to, and that'll change the way that person thinks about you. That'll change your interaction with them in the future. That might change your whole life.
Yeah.
And if you continue to act that way, and you continue to look at world through the eyes of this very particular discipline that's really good for your body, it really can change people. It
Yeah.
can change a lot of people. It's like there's a definite butterfly effect from that.
Yeah.
So if you want to just do something for you, just meditate, man. Learn how to meditate.
Yeah. I just got a new meditation chair actually yesterday, so I might have to start maybe getting into it.
Dude, why not, man? I mean, if you were interested in doing drugs, right? Why not just be interested in doing something that you know you can definitely do, and it's not going to fuck you up, and it's only going to help you.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
when you were partying, what was your thing?
Just doing cocaine by myself at the house, really.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
It was all cocaine. Yeah. What about booze? Did booze bother you?
No, I just couldn't have a drink because I'd be afraid that I would buy Coke.
So if you got drunk, then it would loosen your inhibitions, and you'd be like, "Where's the Coke? What's the fucking Coke?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and cocaine. Oh, go back to that vest story, man. So here's what happened. So I would do some cocaine at the house and put on these different vests.
How many did you buy again?
I don't know. I spent too much on them, but I would probably say the priciest one I had was probably about $210. Nice.
Damn.
Yeah. And so I would get fucked up and put these vests on and put on sunglasses and no like Buffalo Bill shit, but at least partying by myself, you know. And one time I was making a smoothie, you know, because I got like a new, I don't know what kind of blender it is, but it's pretty nice. And I was making like a nice smoothie, and I'm fucking coked up, I'm partying, you know, I'm living high on the hog. Got these 2 vests on, maybe, right? And I thought, I thought I heard something outside, right? Which is kind of weird to even think of when you have a blender going, right? So I leave out of my apartment to go in the hallway, lock myself out with the blender going. 2:30 in the morning, coked up out of my brain, right? Now I have to go to my landlord, dude, who lives right down the hall, and tell him like, "Hey, man,
2:30 in the morning. I got locked out,
I'm
and the
locked
blender's
out,
on,
and the blender's
son.
going."
Oh my God, he must have hated you.
Oh, the blender shorts out and smoke happens. The fire alarm starts going off in the building right as I'm at his door knocking, right?
Oh my God.
So now he's pissed, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I didn't know what to say. I told him that I was throwing a late Christmas party, dude. It was fucking end of January.
How old were you at the time?
Huh? Oh, this is 2.5 years ago. So I was 35. I was 35. Bro, so he comes back to my apartment, right? He's fucking pissed. He unlocks the door. There's nobody in there.
Oh my God.
I'm like, man, but it was fun.
Oh my God.
That was fun.
How long did you live there for?
I still live there.
Whoa.
Yeah, we've patched. I mean, we've kind of, you know, like I've caught him doing some things. So I think we're all even.
How long have you been sober for?
2 years. In 2 weeks, it'll be 2 years.
What was the big thing where you like, I got to get my shit together?
Dude, I was going on Opie and Jim when Opie and Jim Norton had a radio show at Sirius, and it was actually on. It's on Ari's that show that he had. This Is Not Happening, and I ended up doing coke all night, driving a taxi. I was in a taxi. The driver, this dude Luigi, got me an escort. I didn't want an escort. We're doing cocaine in like Harlem or something, North Harlem.
You and the cab driver doing coke.
And I was taking a cab from a party to my hotel. And so we end up off on this other excursion. Next thing you know, I'm driving the taxi. He's in the back with the hooker. It's 5:30 in the morning, and I got to be on the radio station at, 6:30 or something. So I get to the radio, and I can't even talk. And Daryl Strawberry's the other guest, right? Who's the baseball player who also had a drug problem. But he's like 13 years sober. And so it was this weird moment where like I thought I was kind of cool, but then here's a man who like I'd always in my head maybe somewhere thought, oh, that guy's like a cokehead. But then here he is, eloquent, put together, successful. And here I am, I can't even talk. And I'm with 2 men that I admire, Opie and Jim Norton, just to be honest. And no like Buffalo Bill shit, but at least partying by myself, you know? And one time I was making a smoothie, because I got like a new, I don't know what kind of blender it is, but it's pretty nice. And I was making like a nice smoothie, and I'm fucking coked up, I'm partying, I'm living high on the hog. Got these 2 vests on, maybe, right? And I thought, dude, I thought I heard something outside, right? Which is kind of weird to even think of when you have a blender going, right? So I leave out of my apartment to go in the hallway, lock myself out with the blender going. 2:30 in the morning, coked up out of my brain, right? Now I have to go to my landlord, dude, who lives right down the hall, and tell him, like, hey, man.
2:30 in the morning? I got locked out, and the blender's on, son. Oh, my God, he must have hated you.
Oh, the blender shorts out, and smoke happens. The fire alarm starts going off in the building right as I'm at his door knocking, right?
Oh, my God.
So now he's pissed, and he's like, what's going on? And I didn't know what to say. I told him that I was throwing a late Christmas party, dude. It was fucking end of January.
How old were you at the time?
Huh? Oh, this is 2.5 years ago. So I was 35. I was 35. Bro, so he comes back to my apartment, right? He's fucking what's going off in the building right as I'm at his door knocking, right?
The way you experience the world.
To go in the hallway, lock myself out.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, and cocaine. Oh, go back. Back to that vest story, man. So here's what happened. So I would do some cocaine at the house and put on these different vests.
How many did you buy again?
I don't know. I spent too much on them, but I would probably say the priciest one I had was probably about $210. Nice.
Damn.
Yeah. And so I would get fucked up and put these vests on and put on sunglasses and no like Buffalo Bill shit, but at least partying by myself, you know. And one time I was making a smoothie, because I got like a new, I don't know what kind of blender it is, but it's pretty nice. And I was making like a nice smoothie, and I'm fucking coked up, I'm partying, I'm living high on the hog. Got these 2 vests on, maybe, right? And I thought, dude, I thought I heard something outside, right? Which is kind of weird to even think of when you have a blender going, right? So I leave out of my apartment to go in the hallway, lock myself out with the blender going. 2:30 in the morning, coked up out of my brain, right? Now I have to go to my landlord, dude, who lives right down the hall, and tell him, like, hey, man.
2:30 in the morning? I got locked out, and the blender's on, son. Oh, my God, he must have hated you.
Oh, the blender shorts out, and smoke happens. The fire alarm starts going off in the building right as I'm at his door knocking, right?
Is your behavior motivated by love and
no like Buffalo Bill shit, but at least partying by myself.